Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, biggest gob in sport. Welcome to part 4. We're joined by Julian. Part 4. You've had a treat tonight, haven't you, boys and girls? And that's 30 videos for months so far. So next time you're watching your videos and you're thinking these are all right, have a look in the mirror and say, but have I subscribed to Porky's channel for all effort he puts in with his pals? You were saying about your young Joe, your lad, and how everything's changed now.
I was saying that
You wanted him to box, didn't you?
yeah, and you want to bring young people through the sport, and I'm not suggesting there's no young people getting into amateur boxing, by the way, or watching boxing. It's nonsense, but they're not joining in the droves like they used to. And as I've said, I'm not talking about just my son. And I've done a poll from my son and all his friends at school.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I listen to this stuff all the time. I've said to you before, I'm in a group. I'm in like a WhatsApp group with me, like cousins and my brother's lad and all that kind of thing. They're all the same, Russell. They're all UFC this weekend, and they start talking about it. I can watch it, but I drift off a little bit, and it's you can see why they're drawn to it. And I just wish that there were. I heard young people around me now who were excitedly talking about big fights coming up, and we could talk about this forever, but we look at the heavyweight landscape now, don't we? It's all, woulda, coulda, shoulda, gonna, isn't it? It's like, we've got this Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight that people have been talking about for 5 or 6 years. And as we've said, when you break it down, really, is it that good a fight? One guy's not boxed for God knows how long, and the other guy's had 3 stoppages in 9, and he goes to the same self-confidence class as Terry Harper. It's not great, is it? And no. What young fights have we got? What young contenders are coming through calling each other out? And remember when world title eliminators were a thing as well, when they were really good trade fights, when a world title eliminator meant
pay-per-view now, aren't the eliminators?
Eliminators are pay-per-view, but they're not even like the number 1 and number 2, are they? They're just like whoever are with a specific, promotional stable.
Whoever's lobbied and paid the biggest envelope.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we're at now. And it just seems such a shame. It's like we have to go through this formality of Fury and Ngannou in the hope that we might get the Usyk fight, and which apparently is signed. But I don't know how you can sign for a fight when you've still got another fight scheduled. And we heard that Fury and Ngannou was a 2-fight deal. Is he getting paid off? Is this just a spar? I mean, we know he's got no chance, but is it really just a spar? What is the deal? When is the deal with Fury and Usyk? And we've just got all these questions, but we're not really getting the answers, are we? And we get all the promoters and all the social media and the usual suspects say, oh no, it's going to happen now. It's done, it's signed, and it's like, has nobody learned from the fact
that Joshua?
Yeah, it's been well over 20 years, isn't it, since we've had a unification or a fight that matters.
Nearly 25 years, isn't it, since we've had it undisputed?
I mean, it's shocking. It's shocking, isn't it? Really, and this is as good as it gets, isn't it? So we get the scent of a fight. We start to get excited about a fight.
It's as serious as Great Train Robbery, isn't it? Now an undisputed fighter. That's how long it is. You get 25 years for Great Train Robbery, and you'll get 25 years no undisputed if you don't do what promoters say.
Yeah, it's just awful, isn't it? And people will say you're never happy, McGowan, but again, we're going to have a unification. If we do get Fury and Usyk, it's going to be over in Saudi, and I'm sorry, but the atmosphere over there is dreadful for big fights. It's just.
Want to go there? Would we go there for FA Cup final in England? Would we go mad if the Saudis paid the FA millions to put the FA Cup in Saudi once a year in May? There would be uproar. So why do we put it in boxing?
Because everybody get paid twice as much as they would do, and that's
Well, why don't the fans say, well, do you know what? We're not buying it. We want to see it over here. Stop being greedy. We were told Wembley was the
They
be and
were.
end all, weren't we? The Holy Grail.
But they don't. They didn't. They weren't gonna. They did the maths, and it wasn't gonna be enough money for Tyson Fury, was it, Wembley?
What sort of people are holding fans to ransom saying, no, we don't want 45 million, we want 60 million, pop, pop, bang, come back with the other 15 million. Why have we got this and why are we allowing it?
And this is what we're saying, and we've got what I didn't realise.
Promoters must be pulling their hair out.
I'll tell you what I didn't realise. I'm going to tell you something now, and you'll know this more than I will. It shows how disengaged I am with this stuff. So I was looking at Tommy Fury on BoxRec the other day, and I thought, God, when did Tommy Fury last box? And when I asked myself that question, I'm thinking, when did Tommy Fury last box? Like, a professional boxing bout. And what I didn't know, maybe I'm missing something.
He hasn't, has he?
Yeah, Tommy Fury's last fight against Jake Paul was a professional fight.
Oh yeah, they're perfect. They're all professional, aren't they?
Didn't realise that even the fight. He got his boxing this weekend. Is that right?
Yeah. KSI.
I didn't even realise that was a professional fight. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God, how are these professional boxers? It's like,
well, Tyson Fury's fight against Ngannou's going in logbook, isn't it? It's not for belt, but he's saying it's Lineal. A Lineal defence. How can that be? But they're saying Mayweather and McGregor were for a WBC belt as well, aren't they?
it was for something, wasn't it? I mean, it's just, I mean, the one thing is we won't be watching that, will we? We won't be watching Tommy Fury and the other guy.
Tommy Fury should blow that KSI away, should he really? Should batter him.
I remember saying to you before when I got some right abuse in the comments, and I once did on my own channel before I deleted it. Because I says, I think Tommy Fury will beat Jake Paul easy. Jake Paul shit. I got some right abuse. I kept being told he were seriously talented professional fighter, Jake Paul. The guy had 2 left feet and he couldn't block a left jab to save his life. It was garbage. It was rubbish. Oh. Yeah, anyway, those guys are going to get paid a lot of money. Tyson's got Ngannou, he's going to get paid a lot of money. And then we talked earlier about people with a begging bowl, didn't we? And we're like, we're the same people, aren't we? We're the minions with a begging bowl, and we're going to be grateful that we get a unification fight if we do, the first time in 25 years.
I know, that's craziness, isn't it?
And what does the man in the picture think to all this,
Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, what really would Lennox Lewis make?
Lennox Lewis probably thinks boxing now is a joke, and he's probably thinking he's glad he got out.
I mean, what a fighter he was, seriously, wasn't he? I mean, he went the traditional route, didn't he? Olympic gold. Yeah. He obviously been in the Olympics before. He was in the LA Olympics, got his experience there. And then he won the Commonwealth, then he won the Olympic gold in Seoul. And then he obviously British, Commonwealth, European. I mean, when he beat Gary Mason, he might have had a bit of a padded record, but Mason was 35-0. I mean, these were guys he fought before he won the world title, weren't they? And then he had his final eliminator against Razor Ruddock, the danger man, the absolute massive punching danger man of the division. And whatever happened to that kind of career path now, that. And then if you look at Lennox, he lost a couple, he avenged those defeats. Look at the names on his resume, even like guys like David Tua, lethal puncher. McCall, Rackman, Tommy Morrison, Tony Tucker, on and on and on and on and on. Vitaly Klitschko, Mike Tyson, going backwards now, Evander Holyfield. That's a career where he ticked every box, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I want to talk about the rankings at the moment in the heavyweight rankings. Now, I'm not saying I've stumbled upon something. Now, the heavyweight rankings, and I know at the moment, they're all a bit up in air, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, let me just explain this to you. This is something I spotted about a week ago. Tyson Fury is WBC ruler, yeah? He's number one contenders, Wilder, right. WBA, the number one contenders, Wilder, but Mahmoud Shah, he's the mandatory. I know, yeah. Usyk's mandatory is Ergovic for IBF and Zhang's Usyk for WBO. But if you just look below that, because Joshua's got to start fighting somebody, hasn't it? And he's going to want to come back for a belt. Well, this is how shrewd Bricktop is behind the scenes, right? WBC rankings, Tyson Fury, Wilder number one, Fury number two, then you've got number three, Arslanbek, Mahmudov, and then Frank Sanchez, right? The next one, WBA, you've got Wilder number one, he's in position, then you've got Bakoli Joshua, you've got Ergovic, then you've got not rated, then you've got Wilder, then Joshua, Frank Sanchez. And then with WBO, obviously you've got Zhang Usyk, but you've got then Joshua and Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez. So, and Wilder's a bit below them. So in all them, if Wilder gets a fight with anybody except them top couple or is injured, and they call eliminators, Joshua's in an eliminator all the way across the board with a puncher.
It doesn't look great, does it?
Well, let me just read this out to you, right? Wilder's injured or he's got another fight lined up and he knocks back the eliminator. Tyson Fury, I can guarantee you, will say it at WBC. Call Joshua against Makhmudov or Joshua Frank Sanchez, won't they? That's what's going to go on there. And then you're going to have Martin Bakoli, Joshua for WBA, unless Bricktop can get Daniel Dubois put back in, but at the moment he's not even in rankings. Oh, he's number 7 for WBA. Usyk for IBF, Ergovic's in there, but number 2 ain't rated. Like I said, Wilder, he could easily move out them rankings. Joshua Frank Sanchez, and it's Joshua Jared Anderson after Zhang with WBO. So Joshua, if he ain't in an hard fight in the next 2 years, he has got to have an hard one, hasn't he? To get back in the mix. Everything's insulated around him now. If Joshua wants to be a world title champion again, they've got to buy him a belt like they did before against Charlie Martin. And that means, you know what Eddie's going on about Ergovic? That's the softest route for them now to be a third-time champion. And that'll be manufactured as well, because I don't see him wanting all them killer dogs around him at the moment. They're going for a soft option, aren't they? They'll wait it out, I can assure you, Julian. They will wait it out for the landscape to change, because at the moment, they're backed into a corner everywhere. Go and look at the rankings and who's around him. He's not going to want to hear any of them killers. Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, Arslanbek Makhmudov. He's not going to want them. He's not going to want Usyk again. He don't want Wilder. They only want Fury if there's mega dough. Fury's not going to give him it. They're going to squeeze them out, mate. They're in bad shape. They're matching up. Oh, if you look at them heavyweight divisions, go just have a look. I've read them out to you. You've seen it, haven't you?
I'll have a look, but there's jeopardy all around.
Jeopardy? And what are they going to do? Are they going to? Well, he's going to have to drop down to domestic level. That'll mean fighting guys outside top 15. And he won't be able to handle that with his big ego, will he?
And that's why they got offered the Fury
fight. Aren't they? They're stalling. They need a bit of luck, but nobody's going to give him it.
When Fury offered him 60-40,
he said yes.
He just take it, because you don't know when you're going to get a route back, because it's so complex. And as you've said, do you just have dangerous fighters like the Wilders and the people who've been around for a while, and now Zhang's a hell of a dangerous fighter as well. You've got all these Frank Sanchez's and Anderson's coming up as well, bubbling up, and Magdamev and those guys. Is in a real tough situation, and like you just said it there, he's going to have to play the waiting game, isn't he? Because what he's not going to do is roll the dice, and that's why they're going to do everything they can to get that Wilder fight. Because you win big, you lose big, don't you? Because you get paid a hell of money. And
if
that's
they lose to Wilder, they're going to get paid, aren't they?
They're going to get paid major money, and you know what? They could still get the Fury fight if Wilder orbited him, because they say, well, dangerous puncher, etc., etc. We still want the Battle of Britain, but do you know what I think is going to happen? I think you said this before with Wilder. Sorry, with Joshua and Eddie. At some point, they'll end up in court.
Oh, yeah, they're going to court them because he shouldn't have signed a life deal in boxing. Life deals are a nightmare in boxing. You know that, don't you?
You don't
That
do
means
that, do you?
he's
Just
got to do media work for Matchroom till he dies, or anything he gets going. Because Joshua, obviously, he'll look well when he's about 60, won't he, Joshua? So he's anything he does in his life now, he's going to be like Ali when he sold his naming thing, didn't he? He'll be just be tied
I
to
think I know I know AJ is incredibly wealthy, but I always remember Buster Douglas. I think Buster Douglas signed some kind of life deal with a consortium. And it worked for him when they were getting funded, they were getting cash flow quite regular, and he was building his way up, to fight for various titles.
Then when he
And then
won
obviously
it,
when he beat Tyson, they absolutely creamed him, didn't they? I think
creamed him.
they said Buster Douglas got 24 million for fighting Evander Holyfield, and he came away with 3 million. And it
3.2
was
million he come away
payback
with.
because that's it. It was a lifetime. He'd got this consortium, hadn't he? And he'd signed a lifetime deal with him. It's like you gotta be careful. You don't do that. You keep. It's like anything, isn't it? Right? If you get a warranty on anything you buy, a really long warranty or whatever, people get lazy, don't they? You have people working for a long-term contract. They get lazy. If you keep it short, you keep people working hard. It's as simple as that. And he's a client of Matchroom. Keep those deals turning every 12 months, every 2 years at the max, and they'll keep working hard for you. And then if they don't, there's somebody else who will do. And that's the one thing I always did with Gary Sykes. I never got 3-year management deals signed for him. I always kept him short, Russell.
Did you? Why?
I would even, because I would always, my view is like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, we'll sign for 12 months. The first contract I signed for Gary Sykes with Steve Wood and Chris Aston, they won't mind me saying so. It was a 12-month contract, and I sat down with them. Gary was ABA champion. He'd already had a bad contract to start with. And I sat down with him, with Steve, and I says, if you guarantee 5 fights in the first 12 months, 2 of those which were on Sky Bills, not suggesting to televise, but they're on Sky Bills, we'll sign with you again. And I got a contract for 12 months, management contract for 12 months with a caveat they'd release us if I weren't happy from it. And they delivered 5 fights. You look at Gary's record after his 2 fights we signed with Chris and Steve, and he had 5 fights in that period, and 2 of those fights were on Sky, and 2 of those fights were televised.
Never.
Kept him short. Keep him. Yeah. Absolute fact. Keep him. Oh, absolute twat, mate. Because it's what's best for the boxer. Steve Wood was brilliant. Also, Steve Wood was brilliant. And then in final contract, we did sign a full 3 years because he'd done everything that he'd said he'd done up to that point. But always kept the contract short for Gary Sykes. You can do a 12-month contract. I think I did a couple of 12 months, maybe a 2-year, and then maybe another 12 months. And I always kept them short because I'm a man of my word. And I said, you deliver for us what we want you to deliver for us, and then we'll re-sign with you. And when you do that on a handshake, and then you do as you said you're going to do, you build trust, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
Keep people on short-term contracts, mate. And Gary wasn't this massive gold medalist or anything like that, but it was a well-known amateur, and people wanted his autograph. There were a lot of people. Frank Warren was interested in Gary Sykes when Sykes turned over. There were a lot of people interested in Sykes, and for me, the period, the key for Gary, which is why we went with Steve Wood, was activity. And he promised activity, and he delivered on activity. Because the worst thing for a kid like Sykes who liked to party is to keep him out of the gym. So kept getting
training,
Steve
Gary.
always kept Gary busy.
He loved training, Gary.
He was all right when he was in a zone. In his early days, when he was in a zone, he was in a role, it was good. It got harder towards the end of his career. But I know I've gone off on one a little bit, but I always kept him active. So even when I even got Gary, which was unheard of now. He had a non-title fight. He was a British champion at one point. And I got him a non-title fight because there were no fights coming up, and he fought at Huddersfield Sports Centre, and I think he got 600 quid.
Never.
British champion. Kept him busy, mate. Had a third round stoppage. Don't matter. I was me. I says, you're fighting at Chris, Steve. I think it was Chris at the time. Chris, I want him out. I want him out. If there's no British title fight, I want him out. I don't want him inactive. I need Sykes in gym. And even when both times Gary got mandated for the British title, so the first time he got mandated when he beat Crawler, he could have just sat there, Russell, for 12 months and waited for his title shot. He didn't. I kept him busy. And I got him a couple of 6-rounders, always on the phone to Steve. Get him a fight, Steve. Get him a fight. Get Sykes a fight. He's getting bored. Get him a fight. Experience. A winnable fight. And Steve did that. It was brilliant. He delivered. And then the second time when Gary was mandated for the British title after he'd beat Johnny Kays and Kev Hooper, did the same again, mate. I got him. He got Femi Feintola on a Dennis show in Leeds. That was a dangerous fight. Fem was a useful fighter. And then he boxed Mark McRae on a Mark Bateson show. And he'd already been mandated to fight Liam Walsh. Keep fighters busy. And if you have a good relationship with managers, it's not all about the money, mate. It's not all about money. And that's why you hear me talk all the time about keeping fighters active and keeping fighters in the gym. I don't say what I haven't practiced in my own life and my own experience. I always wanted to keep fighters busy. It's so important. And this is the problem. This is my frustration. Totally different world. I understand that. And Gary isn't Deontay Wilder, but this is my frustration. You got to keep people busy. You got to keep fighters busy. Even if it's a nothing fight, keep them busy. Because you can't, even Josh Warrington said the same thing, didn't he? He had 10 months out in the ring. People say, it's not that long. It is. It's a long time, that. It's a long time to be out the ring, to be just ticking over. Keep fighters busy. And it's something we don't see now, do we? Because people won't take risks. But remember the days of non-title fights? They were common, weren't they?
Oh, God.
Julio Cesar Chavez was always having tool sharpeners. Always. You look at Chavez's record, in between the big fights and the big wins, he used to fight for not a lot of money in the bull ring and stuff, did Cesar Chavez. And it's a different world, mate. I know I've gone off on a total tangent there, but keep fighters busy, stop them getting into trouble, stop them getting bored. But it's also a ring time for them and his experience for them. And I remember saying this about Anthony Joshua when you asked me a few times about AJ. I says, I don't really care who AJ boxes. I don't have an issue with it. I'd just keep him busy. I would put him out every couple of months. I'd put him on an undercard of a big show. That's what I would do. Keep him busy, keep his tools sharp, and then you don't have excuses like saying he's got L plates on him. But like I say, we've got fighters like we mentioned Felix Cash. We've got fighters now who just, what are they actually doing?
Not doing no, are they?
Activities, like that's why we have a few fighters, and that again, with you and I, our conversations kind of they grow arms and legs, don't they? But if you look at Canelo Alvarez, yeah, look at the ringcraft on Canelo Alvarez. Look at how he just totally shut Charlo down and how he was just blocking, deflecting, and walking him down. Look at how often Canelo Alvarez is in the gym. He's always got a fight schedule as Canelo, hasn't he?
He will do. He earns millions. He's the cash cow, isn't he?
He's a cash cow. But if you look at his record's similar to a Marvin Hagler now, isn't it, in the statistics?
60, 75, 60 odd fights or something, yeah.
It's there's no secret why he's got such ringcraft, is there? Because he hasn't.
He's active.
He's active. He's fighting all the time. He's fighting 2 times minimum, but usually 3-4 times a year. He's fighting all the time. It's no secret that he's such a great fighter. And we don't have now fighters. I mean, look at George Foreman, the amount of fights George Foreman, had, and Ali in his 50s, and Larry Holmes ended up with 60 odd whatever fights. And now, 20 odd fights, that's a career, it's done.
Yeah, it's Broch only had 35.
It's not a lot of fights, isn't that? 35 fights, mate, is it? He's certainly earned a lot of money.
35 fights in 12 years. It's not free a fight, not free a year, is it?
No,
3 fights
not.
a year.
You know, people say, but that's a lot of camps, and that's half the mistake, isn't it? Like I just said about Chavez, it's like a dying art. I'm a
Well,
round.
it can't. I don't know about camps. You should train every day anyway, shouldn't you? If you're an
But that's what I'm saying. They don't need a camp. Sometimes you don't need to be 100% if you're having an 8 round, 6 round just tune-up job. You don't need to be. You got your levels are that good. You know, Gary, like I said, so Gary's last fight before he fought for the British title, he fought Mark McRae on a Mark Bateson show. Mark McRae, you know, was about 10.5 stone. Sykes was only super featherweight. Look at the ring weights. Gary ended up weighing on the night about 10 stone to himself. He was a lot heavier than he should have been. But you've got a kid who has that much talent. It's a 6 round, just did what he had to do. Got 6 rounds under his belt. It keeps him active, mate. He's the the Lupe Pintos and the Haglers and the Roberto Duran's. I'm not saying every fighter had that many fights, but Roberto Duran had over 100 fights, didn't he? He was 71-1 when he fought Ray Leonard in 1980. 71-1. He'd been lightweight champion for 8 years. It's like, is it any wonder these fighters are so great at what they do? Because they've just got such. Alexis Arguello was the same thing, won his 60-odd, 70-odd fights. So much ringcraft, mate. Not saying we don't see great fighters now, but we don't see that ringcraft that we used to see. And I understand people having longer amateur careers now. I understand all
Yeah. People are talking Caballel Joshua for December. What do you think?
It's not a sexy fight, is it? It's what you just covered about Joshua, though. You've just said it. It is. I don't care who he fights as long as he's active, but he's very difficult to match right now, isn't he?
He's undefeated, him.
He hasn't beaten anybody from memory, though, has he? Has he got a bit of an empty season? Yeah, you get. I mean, you get a lot of kids out there. I mean, look at the guy who Ergovich just beat, Dempsey McKean. I mean, he had a good-looking record, didn't he? I mean, dreadful, wasn't he?
He'd done that Pavel Sauer a few months ago. Sorry, last year.
He can be a danger man, can Sauer, can't he? But he's mixed, isn't he?
They were fighting Kevin Johnson in 2021. He shouldn't be in ring with Joshua.
No, Kevin Johnson. My God, I'm thinking now. I'm thinking if I were looking after Anthony Joshua,
he beat Derek Chisora 6 years ago, and they said Derek were finished then. Derek's still going strong now, stronger than him.
Yeah, he is. He is. Right. If I were looking after AJ, who would I put him in with?
Yeah, who would you put him in with?
It's a really good question.
Well, I'll read you these out. Tell me who you put him in with out of these here, these rank guys here, right? Fucking phone's gone off on me. Right, let me just think at the top of my head here. Caballel, would you put him in with him?
I think he beats him. I don't know if it's a great fight.
I think Joshua beats Caballel. Right, Caballel, Aslan Mamabek. That Russian, they're not going to go near him, is he?
He's quite dangerous, isn't he? I think he's durable and he's tough and he's solid. So I might swerve that one.
Yeah, I would. What about Frank Sanchez against Joshua?
No,
Otto Wallin.
Otto Wallin, I would put him in with Otto Wallin.
Is that an hard fight for Joshua?
It's not an easy fight. He's a conventional southpaw, isn't he? He's not.
What about Daniel Dubois against Joshua in a domestic tear-up on pay-per-view?
I don't know if it'd be a tear-up. It'd be a. I think AJ beat Dubois. Yeah, I keep saying the same thing. I always feel a bit tight on Dubois. I just don't rate him. I never have done. I don't see a lot in him. I think AJ's got more to his game than Dubois. He's got he's got more character. He doesn't have bags of character, but I think he has more character than Dubois. I think Wallin would be all right. Sanchez would be all wrong from he'd pepper him from the outside. He's got fast hands, unbeaten. We don't know what his potential is, but we know he's got good pedigree as well. Sanchez wouldn't be a good fight for AJ right now. Who else have we got?
Fabio Wardley. He's ranked number 11 with WBF.
High risk, no reward, isn't it?
Sorry. Yeah, WBA. Sorry, WBA.
I mean, he's got his own fight, hasn't he? In a few weeks' time, as Fabio Wardley against David Adley. That's a good fight.
Yeah, no belt on line though.
No, it's not in the UK, is it? I guess the rules are rules when it suits. But yeah,
Shows you what they think about the belt, doesn't it?
Of course it does, yeah.
Imagine that. Could you imagine Bruce Woodcock or Henry Cooper doing that to a British belt? So now we're going to fight in Saudi. So
it don't matter. We don't need a British title. Who cares? It's sad, isn't it, when it's overlooked like that?
Fabio Wardley, you want kicking round Ipswich, disrespecting British belt, you weapon.
I'll tell you.
Nobody ever buys a ticket at your show again, you prick.
I'll tell you what put AJ in with. People say, don't be stupid. He's only a novice. Fraser Clark.
Fraser Clark probably does AJ.
Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce and AJ. I think Joe Joyce has finished me, mate. Honestly, I don't. I think
AJ would knock him out.
Joe Joyce is just like a big heavy bag with eyeballs now, isn't he?
He had some real strength, didn't he? And it was fun to watch. And at one point we thought, you know what? And I don't know if Zhang's got his number or if he's.
What about this one then? WBA number 2 ranked Martin McCauley against WBA number 3 ranked Anthony Joshua. 2 and 3 going at it.
Well, McCauley's fearless, isn't he? Got a good coach.
Well, his coach believes in him because he's running around telling everybody that McCauley's jab's better than Larry Holmes.
Well, I don't know about that. I like Billy. I know him.
He has got skills though, McCauley. They reckon he's got.
Yeah, he's one of those. He's one of those fighters who can mesh around, isn't he? He's a bit of a spoiler, but defensively he's not bad. I don't think he's that easy to hit with like 2 or 3 solid shots on the trot. That McCauley might be a hard fight for AJ, you know.
Yeah.
AJ would be a favourite. It'd be a big favourite, but it might be a tough night. I'd avoid Jared Anderson and I would avoid Sanchez. You don't want the smoke from the young kids. No way.
No.
You know what? I think it would have been the irony. It would have been a decent fight for Joshua. It would have been Dillian White, because I think Joshua would have knocked him out again.
Yeah.
That would have been a decent fight.
Well, he's going to have to get a move on because they can't just sit waiting. And because he's been saying for 3 weeks we're going to deal with within a week. Well, that's 3 weeks ago now, and they've got no lined up.
He'll fight Dempsey McKean.
Well, there's things going on behind the scenes. They're trying to nudge him into it. What other promoters are trying to do, and Eddie must see this coming a mile off when he rings, because people will ring him up all the time. They'll be saying, Top's just rung us and they're trying to get us to put our guy in with your guy, or they're stopping us. We're just letting you know, Eddie. That's what happens. Squealers all over the place in boxing. You think Eddie don't get to know that? At the end of the day, if Joshua's carrying a chandelier, that's his business, isn't it? But he's not even got a belt, so how are they even regular? How are they even spoke about? How is Eddie Hearn even in the mix at heavyweight when he ain't got a belt?
But that's the thing with AJ, isn't it? If he really is, he's talked about as being one of the premier heavyweights and a massive global star. He hasn't got nothing. Let's stop talking about his resume. Let's forget that and let's look and break it down and talk about the last 4 years, because that's all that's relevant now, isn't it?
Yeah.
4 or 5 years. Nothing's done before is relevant, is it? It's not, it doesn't mean anything. And what we know now is his recent, I thought the last fight against Hellenius, it was dreadful. Dreadful. It was a decent finish, but it was dreadful. The fight before that, Franklin, shocking. They got obviously 2 back-to-back losses to Usyk. Pulev was an old man. Still took him a while to get rid of Pulev. The points decision, working backwards, the points win over Ruiz was just awful. And you'd think you were watching Ray Robinson, Jake LaMotta, wouldn't you? The Valentine's Day Massacre, the masterclass, the way the commentators went on. But I thought it was horrendous how Ruiz just ate himself out of the heavyweight championship. And the fight before, he just got absolutely just battered by Ruiz. So if you look at his last, what is that, the last 4 years, 4.5 years?
Yeah.
If you just section that and you just ring fence that as that's your body of work in the last 7 or 8 fights, it's not great, is it?
Not fantastic.
It's not a Canelo Alvarez body of work, is it? To be talked about as this global star, it's
No.
poor.
What about the Gad's body of work? Today, he's done an interview and he said, yeah, they could see Lee Wood's punch being a great punch and a great finish, and he could see Warrington's problem why he got stopped and all that. He could see that, but it was a great stoppage. So he's just basically what he's done there. He's just tickled both camps' arseholes.
Yeah, let's not fall out with anybody, and let's just it could have gone either way. I can see why the referee stopped it. I think he did the right thing, but I can understand why Josh Warrington's upset. So what? Yeah, you just said you're tickling the arseholes of Ben
Have an
Davison.
opinion, Gad, you weapon.
You're not just tickling the arseholes of the winners and the losers. You're also tickling the arseholes of the officials.
Because he knows there'll be another press conference and he's going to need access again. And how is this journalism for the sport? It isn't, is it? It's
not.
It's AT, arse tickling.
You asked me what I thought about the Warrington Wood, and I was in a minority, and I've stick to that opinion, and that's it, right or wrong. But at least I've got an opinion. But like you said, these guys haven't got an opinion, have they? I mean,
I know what I said before they fought. I said, look, Warrington's on slide, he gets knocked out. That's what happened, although it showed that for 6 rounds he went on slide. But him getting himself in an awkward position at 7th round and taking that bait when they took a point off him shows he's on slide, doesn't it? Because he weren't thinking straight. He went hell for leather, didn't he? When he had a full 17 and a half minutes after they took that point off him, left in the fight.
Didn't need to do it, did he? And
it wasn't like it was a minute to go, was it? Last round.
No, it didn't need to be done, and he's got to.
I was advising him. I think personally, no offence, but the big stepdad needs to take a step back and let the kid blossom. He's nearly 33 now. He's in his 33rd year. He might have 2 fights left or 3. And I think he's on a 1 win in 5 run. It's time for the trainer to go. If that were Hewitt and his dad, I'd say the same, and he's my pal. He ain't my pal, Sean O'Hagan, but looking at it from the outside, looking in, 1 win in 5, collect your cards, son, because if you were a Liverpool manager, I'd be screaming for you to go, lad. Collect your cards, you're gone. Leeds United manager didn't get that long, did he?
So I think we're almost done. We've done a marathon tonight, mate. I'm really needing a cup of tea, but it's too late now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they've had 4 40-minute sessions. Thanks for coming on, Julian. You've been
my pleasure, buddy.
A star. Pop, bang, and I will speak to you tomorrow, kid.
All right. Cheers, buddy.
Okay, mate. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Right. Right. You've had a good run tonight, but like I said, it's boxing, innit? But one of them things, innit? No offence against Sean O'Hagan, but hand your cards in, kid. 1 win in 5. We're elite level here. If this were Premier League, you'd be sacked. You'd be hard at road. You'd be down Ellen Road, kid. Ellen Road, kid. Quicker than Cluffy war. Pop, bang. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. I hope you've liked these 4 episodes. 160 minutes. Booyah! I'm back.